because he accused me of wanting to quote unquote sleep with Stephen Miller. So why don't you tell me what you think is acceptable to tell a woman? Thank you.
Oh my gosh. We got to check in on AOC again, because another funny thing is happening with the far left congresswoman, obviously from New York City, and some are considering her a possible Senate or vice president or even presidential candidate, kind of a rising star in the Democratic Party. But if there's one thing AOC loves, it is playing the victim. That girl, she knows how to spin any situation into her being a victim. So that's kind of what happened when a Fox News producer approached her from Jesse Watters' show, Jesse Watters Primetime, I believe is the name of it. And the producer asked her, like, will you come on our show? And in fairness, it's one of, I think Jesse Watters is a bit of a doof, but it's a popular show that millions of people watch on America's #1 cable news network. So if you were a politician and you're invited on this show, you should care enough about reaching the people, many of whom are independents or Democrats or moderate Republicans, not all mega audience on Fox News, right? You should care enough about reaching them that you would want that opportunity. That's my view, at least. But she didn't just say no. She claimed that Jesse Watters had sexually harassed her simply by virtue of some comments he made making fun of her a few months back. Let's watch this interaction she had with a Fox News reporter. Listen to this.
Would you join him?
He accused me of, he has sexualized me on his show. He has sexually harassed me on his show. He has engaged in horrific, sexually exploitative
That's
rhetoric.
not true, Congresswoman.
It is true. It is true because he accused me of wanting to quote unquote sleep with Stephen Miller. So why don't you tell me what you think is acceptable to tell a woman? Thank you.
Oh my gosh. She did not really just claim that one glib remark Jesse Watters made about her on air is akin to sexual harassment. Give me a break. You are not victimized by a cable news host saying something nasty about you or making a joke at your expense. And that's actually a real insult to all the women who've been victims of real sexual harassment. And that's not what that is. When a person in another state across the cable news airwaves makes a rude or inappropriate remark about you, that is not the same thing as being sexually harassed at work or in a different venue or setting. And that's a really rough experience that a lot of women have had, where they are made to feel unsafe and where they are violated in different ways, whether verbally or physically. And for you to compare a cable host saying something inappropriate about you to that is a joke. But she wants to be a victim, and it's just a cop-out because she's afraid to handle the heat. She doesn't really do adversarial interviews, yet of course she wants to be the vice president or president of the United States. But so she wants to not do the interview, so she's playing the victim. But it's an insult and a disgrace to claim that. I mean, I'll show you the actual clip of what Jesse Watters said about her. And also, this all comes in the context where she started this whole situation that Jesse then responded to by talking about Stephen Miller, the White House advisor, and saying like he's a creepy short man and he's overcompensating and all this stuff. Which I guess then, I guess she sexually harassed Stephen Miller then, if making, comments about someone, their appearance, or, I mean, it's not quite as openly sexual as what Jesse said, I agree, but it's like, so you're going to personally mock and bash people, but then when other people return it in a slightly more inappropriate way, all of a sudden, you're Harvey Weinstein's latest victim. Like, give me a break, AOC. Oh, before I show you the clip of what Jesse actually said, I want to show you this AOC tweet, because she doubled down on this interaction she had with the Fox reporter that went viral. And she said on Twitter, "You can either be a pervert or ask me to be on your little show, not both. Good luck." And this tweet got 1.5 million views. And liberals and progressives are saying, "Slay Queen, go off. You sound ridiculous. You were not victimized by him. And his little show gets far more viewership than lots of the shows that you regularly do on CNN and MSNBC. And there are millions of American people on the other end of that show that tune in, that even if you don't respect Jesse Watters, which I certainly understand, he's a bit of a clown. Even if you don't respect him, you should respect those people, not dismiss it as, oh, your little show. It's actually a huge show and you sound absurd." Anyway, here's the actual clip that Jesse said about her. Listen to this, and then we'll discuss.
You think that MAGA men are insulted by AOC?
No, I think AOC wants to sleep with Miller. It is so obvious, and I'm sorry, you can't have him. Miller is the best. I know him well socially, and the man is not overcompensating. Dana, I know when people are overcompensating. I know people at this table who are overcompensating. That person is me.
So look, do I think that's really an appropriate thing for Jesse Waters to say on national television as an ostensibly serious political pundit? No, I don't. Do I think it's a bit creepy? Sure, but it's not sexual harassment. That is absurd, because if it is, then you're telling us that sexual harassment is no big deal. Because one person one time saying one sentence, not even in the same room as you, that's like mildly weird or inappropriate. Well, that's something that happens to every person, and honestly something a lot of us have probably done at some point. So if you're telling us that's sexual harassment, then you're actually telling us sexual harassment is not a big deal, which is not, I think, the true message, or the message that AOC is supposed to want to send. And you are belittling actual women who've been victimized by real harassment, sexual harassment, by conflating somebody being a little weird and rude and unprofessional to you with that. You're also kind of losing the moral high ground, because if all she'd said was, no, I'm not going on your show, your host has been creepy towards me, I'd be like, yeah, well, that's kind of true. I'm not sure it's an excuse to dodge a major media opportunity where you should be trying to reach the public, including possibly some of your constituents or some of the people you want to represent at a bigger scale. But to claim sexual harassment, I just think it's laughable. I think it makes a mockery of this whole thing and shows you how much the concept creep of some of these terms has just been stretched to the point of meaninglessness. I mean, that was one of the problems with the Me Too movement. Obviously, they identified real abuses and harms, but then they conflated like actual genuine crimes with like inappropriate remarks or comments off the cuff that made people uncomfortable. And when you flatten the world of the differences of significance and nuance, that's actually going to cause people to take the charges and accusations less seriously, which hurts the real victims. And I'm just sick of this. I'm sick of this shit where these people, they want to be multimillionaires, they want to be national celebrities, they want to be major political influencers and figures, but then they play the victim over the slightest heat, or obviously nobody should be threatened, nobody should be harassed, nobody should be shot at, nobody should have their homes stalked or violated. But yeah, when you are a massively controversial and intentionally inflammatory national political figure, sometimes people are going to say nasty stuff about you or weird stuff about you, and you are not, in fact, the world's biggest victim. So I find it exhausting, and I find her tears kind of delicious. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and all of that. And that'll be it for today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk again real soon.